Everyone. I hope you are doing well. And good morning and good afternoon, actually, because we are from many parts of the world. I hope everyone had a good start of the course. In the first module last week, actually, we saw the introduction to e-learning. We also had the inaugural webinar. We explained the course flow and the e-campus, how the e-campus works. I also saw that many of you were touched by Mosharraf Hussein's video, which helped you to understand empathy, and thank you for active participation. This week, we are in the second module, and we will see this module is around the learning management systems topic. And in our webinar today, we have the pleasure to welcome Erka from Swiss Contact and Albina, Albina, who is based in Albania. Yeah, and they will share some experiences and examples around the topic with us. And I would like to let them introduce themselves. And I invite you to follow the webinar carefully, and thank you for your participation. So I would like to invite maybe Erka first to present. Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure always to collaborate and share our experiences with all the participants. So I will also really push the participants to write questions and suggestions, and also share with us the experiences that they have in their own environments, schools, or countries. So it will be an interesting way to also talk about the experiences. So not only sharing ours, but also receiving some from the participants. Hello, everyone. As Naomi said, good morning and good afternoon. My name is Erika Charo. I am the Deputy Project Manager of the Skills for Jobs project, which is a project implemented by Swiss Contact in Albania, of Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. The project aims to improve access to gainful employment and income for youth by offering them relevant training opportunities based on new ways of inclusive learning. Together with me today, it's Albina Bardi, which has been our key expert on technologies for education, and especially on administering the virtual learning platform that we are using in our VET institutions in Albania. But before I will let Albina take over, let's say, the more technical part and our experience with implementing such a platform, and how we have come today in a process that it has been integrated, let's say, in the school teaching processes, but also we are looking forward into including it into the administrative processes of the institution, and not only teaching. The project Skills for Jobs started in 2016 to work closely with initially 4 VET institutions, and lately with 9 VET institutions and one training center. So 9 schools and 1 training centers out of 43 total in the whole country. Only in 2018 we started to experiment with a virtual learning platform, which is Moodle based, and Albina later on will explain a bit why we did go for the Moodle based platform, which has been adapted in the Albanian language for our purposes, let's say for the purpose to work with the Albanian vet school. Our approach initially has been quite gradual, so we wanted just to pilot and to test a bit the environment in the schools, or on how they will let's say, deal and how they will respond to such innovation, which for Albania at that time was quite an innovation because of the very quite traditional, let's say, teaching modalities. So this face-to-face and the teacher in the center has been, let's say, the main modality of teaching in Albania for many years. So we started with few enlightened teachers to understand a bit the process and the readiness of such innovation. But then in 2019, COVID hit. So the pandemic, as in the whole world, let's say, also in Albania, the schools has been locked down. And we had at that moment to really step up and scale this initiative, not only for the 9 partner providers, but for the whole system. Here, it's a bit some of the elements on how did we start, where did we found the institution when we started in 2016. So very few computers, old ones, almost not used. School leadership did not believe that we were actually as a project serious into innovating the institutions. Teachers were very resistant. They really liked the traditional way of teaching, so they did not want to use technologies for education because they thought that this will increase their workload. So they wanted really to keep affairs as they were, and of course little infrastructure were available. And so it was a bit difficult, especially to break the resistance and to open their mind to the change. Where we are today, we have, let's say, almost 7 years of implementation. In the end of this year, so in the end of this academic year, will be 7 years really working with the institution. And we can say that now we have a functional Moodle platform adapted in Albania. We have implemented the latest version, which offers also many important features for realities like Albania, where you have a lot of problems also with internet connection and with infrastructure. So Moodle version 4.0, which Albina will explain more in details, it has such features which allows schools to implement new ways of teaching, also with minimum requirements, let's say, in the perspective of infrastructure needed. We have built blended learning classrooms where you have such modalities of teaching where students can work together in groups and they cannot network. So not anymore the teacher, let's say, in the center of the teaching process, but students in the center of the teaching process. And this has been possible also through Moodle. Students learn through their mobile phones. One of the new features of the Moodle, it's also the app. So the app also adapted for the Albanian version, let's say, of Moodle. And one of the most important elements that it really shifted the attention of teachers and the modality of work has been the digital learning materials, which now are offered through the platform, and teachers are using it in their everyday work. And another more important element is that we see digitalization also as a part of and the pillar of the national strategy of Albania. So the strategy from 2020 till 2030, it includes a pillar on digitalization and modernization of the education system, especially in VET. But of course, you cannot make everything possible only with Moodle or only with the virtual learning or only with infrastructure. Of course, you need many elements to be combined together and to have like synergies among each other for the things to work out. So in the figure are presented, let's say, the main pillars that what we consider being the main pillars that we have based our approach towards introducing technologies in education and implementing new ways of teaching in VET institution in Albania. So elements such as infrastructure, digital content, capacity building, not only of teacher, but capacity building of different stakeholders within the institution, and of course institutional management. All of these are key to successful implementation of technologies in education. And this element, as I mentioned, cannot stand alone. They need to be in synergy with each other. But I want to go a bit more in details into these four main pillars and how we have dealt with such, let's say, strong elements that we try to introduce in the school. In this picture, you can see one of the blended learning, or what I meant by blended learning classroom. So round tables, students with their devices, but they have at this moment they have laptops, but they can have also their smartphones in hand, because it's possible to engage through mobile phones. So virtual learning environment, it needs physical infrastructure but also digital infrastructure, and very important and not to forget is the administration and the maintenance of such an infrastructure. So to implement technologies in education and with the purpose of implementing, let's say, new ways of learning, a prerequisite is to meet some minimum requirements in terms of infrastructure. So a blended learning classroom, it includes modular tables, which you can shift and change in different scenarios according to the model of teaching that you are pursuing for the day. It needs good Wi-Fi internet connection. It needs at least one smart TV or a projector per class. So the teacher can really project the material or the test or the assessment or the forum or the whatever elements she needs to show to the class, and of course smartphones or laptops. So these are, let's say, important elements for a class or for an institution to have as a preconditions for the virtual learning platform to not only be part or be implemented or, let's say, downloaded in students' mobile phone, but be used, let's say. And when choosing a learning management system, you need to consider a lot of elements such as pricing, specification, who will use the virtual learning platform, and all the features that are needed. So for this, of course, maintenance and someone that can administer, will know better than the others, let's say, the virtual learning platform is needed. For such, we always, let's say, try to have per each school one platform administrator, so that can be a teacher, or that can be or an IT teacher, or someone who really uses it, and an IT support to actually not only capacitate and help out teachers, but also students and management. Digital content, I think in our case, has been key to actually make this product successful, because one of the key challenges in vocational education in Albania is limited learning and teaching content available to teachers and students. This is true especially on practical modules and subjects. This challenge, it becomes much more important during the pandemic, especially during the school lockdown, as teachers did not have any more contact with students, and having no contact and having no materials that really make things very difficult. So the shift from face-to-face teaching to online distance learning made prominent need, let's say, for online available content, which we have been only experimenting until this moment. So at this moment we really went full-fledged, let's say, through it, and we started together with teachers to develop content for the schools, especially for let's say students or directions with the more need of it. So we started to capacitate teachers, we started to develop learning materials, and this really boosted the use of the virtual platform, not only throughout the pandemic, but also further following the pandemic now, because the material is there, the teachers are using it, and not only the teachers who have been developing, but also other teachers who are teaching the same, let's say, the same class. Capacity building of teachers, I think it's also one of our, let's say, strongest point or elements, because you need really throughout the process to build capacities of teachers, leadership, but also of students. So it's not only a matter of 1 or 2 trainings, but it's a matter of coaching. It's a matter of really following up with all these actors in one school to see that they are not only getting the knowledge, but actually they are using it. So such capacity building activities of exposure with let's say virtual learning platform, or with new ways of teaching, face-to-face training, coaching, training teachers on the use of physical infrastructure and digital infrastructure, coaching teachers on using new ways of learning and how they can make use of digital platforms and digital learning materials to actually do so, has been let's say crucial to us for the platform and for the content to be developed and to be used, because for us it's very important to have user experience. So we get a lot of feedback and comments, and this with this we improve their experience for the future. So we have really invested a lot in creating a good, let's say, library, if we can call it so, of materials, capacity building materials, teaching and training products, which we try to deliver in a very, let's say, interactive way. So we have experimented a lot with massive open online courses, with short or micro modules. So we don't only teach them skills, but also we teach them ways of teaching or ways of working, so they can copy and they can use this with their students. So all our trainings now are in TVET, meaning the virtual learning platform we are using. So teachers are using TVET not only as teachers, but also as students, so they know the product from both ways, which really helps them to complete the picture and really understanding in and out the platform. We cannot neglect, and we have really learned this, let's say, throughout the time, that institutional management or leadership is very important while you are trying to implement new ways of learning. So using of a platform, it needs to be part of the strategic planning and annual planning of an institutions, because you have really to build up business model of why. So why leadership of a school should choose a virtual learning platform to use. So you have to convince them that this is efficient, that this really is interactive, this improves and increases the performance of students, but also of teacher. So having a cost-effective solutions for applying and modernizing your institutions. And also Through management, we try to integrate the capacity building process for teachers in their continuous professional development plans. So we have, this is to show a bit that we have worked with different levels and different layers to actually create the prerequisites or create the preconditions for the virtual learning platform to actually fly. Because standing alone does not bring any value to the institution, but with all these elements and layers, it really boosts, let's say, the performance of an institution, and it paves the way towards digitalization of vocational education and training in Albania. This was a bit what I wanted to say from a contextual perspective, and a bit of our experience on how we have thought it and how we have structured our strategy, implementation strategy. And now I pass the floor to Albina, who will talk more practically on, let's say, the tips and tricks and all the challenges, but also benefits of going through implementing and making available a virtual learning platform for VET institutions in Albania.
Yeah. Many thanks, Erka, for this thoroughly a presentation of the Mesovet experience in Albania. Okay, let's see let's follow now the next presentation of Albina before passing the floor to the participant with the questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Erka, and thank you, Noemi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I am a learning management system expert. I am responsible for the design, for the development, for the implementation, for the delivery, and the maintenance of the resources used into the LMS. I hope this will be a live and vivid session. Please feel free to keep an eye on the chat and, of course, leave all your questions and your comments in the chat. I believe Naomi is actively monitoring it. We often gain new insights and knowledge by living through experiences, but we also do the same by reflecting after listening to others' experiences. So I hope you find this presentation fruitful. I actually have delivered the same training that you are in now with teachers in Albania. I have coached them on creating good e-learning materials. I have also coached another group of teachers in Cambodia. And it was a very pleasant experience, especially to see how they are now actually practicing what they got from the training. Erka shared a bit of context. I will continue sharing our good practices. So, choosing the right learning management system, that was a hard decision at first. So we started by defining the key learning management system features that best suited our needs. And we came into conclusion that Moodle was our best choice. Why? Well, to start with, Moodle is a proven and trusted learning management system worldwide, because it has a strong community and it has a pedagogical design. eCampus is also based on Moodle, actually. A big advantage of Moodle is that it's free to use and it's open source, meaning that we decide what happens and how in our platform. We can control everything from data ownership, privacy, security, to setting up the look and the feel of the Moodle site, and also adding extra functionality to it. Moodle supports all types of teaching, like blended learning, fully remote. It provides tools to measure progress, which is very important, especially for teachers who want to know where their learners are, where their students are, and how are they progressing with the learning material. Besides that, since Moodle is developed following all the accessibility standards, we can build courses with full support for all learners. Moodle has these built-in tools that allow you to manage privacy policies as well, and it can be customized in any way and be tailored to individual needs. One of the basic things that it's missing in most of the open source LMS is the lack of appropriate documentation. But this isn't the case for Moodle. I know that in this training you also have a practice canvas, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, where you will develop your own digital learning material and put it on campus, I think. Well, in order for you to shine on that assignment, you can simply control the documentation that Moodle offers, because eCampus is based on Moodle, and there you can find the best way to use those tools and to also create effective digital learning materials. Now, let's see. I want to share a bit of a history for most of it. After most of it started in 2018 at first, and it had only 700 users registered on it. Teachers used to do teaching and teaching in the classroom, but then due to the COVID situation, I mean, in spring 2020, schools were closed literally within a day, and the situation was marked by high levels of uncertainty. And vocational educational schools in Albania lacked learning materials. So they had no books, they had no electronic materials. And also many students, especially in rural areas, didn't have the digital infrastructure at home. And they had poor internet connection, or they had no internet connection at all. So both students and teachers had also limited digital skills, and learning and teaching could not be monitored. There was no national plan how to tackle this situation. School directors did not know what to do in this situation, as most of the companies were closed during the full lockdown for 3 months. The lack of practical learning was also a big issue. Was a big issue, as I was saying, and extracurricular activities, let's say, were seen as luxury because they did not take place any longer. And all these developments impacted the outputs of the Skills for Jobs project. So employability was heavily impeded, and schools were closed for the remaining academic year, and learning took place via WhatsApp. Placements could not be realized, and the number of companies that offered apprenticeship diminished. And what the project did to step up a bit, let's say, is that they firstly took kind of surveys for teachers and students, challenges, needs, their expectations, and all these surveys were analyzed systematically. So the feedback was used to improve and tailor the interventions. So we started firstly with the training of teachers in producing and using online learning content, like applying meaningful pedagogical designs to online teaching, like creating assignments, creating assessments, uploading materials to the platform, also following the progress of the students online. We started coaching the teachers. We started out with Zoom webinars first. We had a high participation. The teachers were all there, but we had low interactivity. We couldn't manage them all at once. So we started on smaller groups then, like 2 or 4 teachers from the same subject or same field of application that teach the same classes. We even started doing one-to-one coaching. So we achieved much more intensive participation, more peer interaction, we had increase of digital skills. And in the piloting phase, we also started involving teachers in piloting. So everyone learned a lot, like power users, let's say, passed on their experience to their peers in communities of practice. We had weekly meetings with school directors and administrative staff, and they learned how to organize and how to support online training from a management perspective. After that, on May 2021, as you can see, the uses of the Mosolvet increased visibly during 2021 from 700 users in March of 2020 to almost like 9,000 almost in May 2021. Clearly, as the graph shows, the increase of users is linked with the increase of available digital materials in the platform. I want to share with you also some preliminary data from the assessment of the teaching process during the 2020-2021 academic year, which we have conducted at the national level. So we see that 60% of teachers have used a digital learning platform for teaching, while 75% of them use a digital platform for online learning, and 21% of teachers at the national level use the Mosolvet in class. And for flipped classroom, 32% of them used it to find the learning materials. So these are some very promising results, which we need to further understand and to analyze. But I'm sure that we can also share a summary of the report too, if you want to. So how do we actually use Mosolvet for blended learning? Now there are a variety of activities on the platform, right? There are we build all these activities in compliance with the topic, with the learning results. And if the teaching is taking place on the class or it's online or remotely, and how do we proceed by doing that? Well, I think I have also put an image from our platform, I think, yes, okay. So there are different activities that we involve, and probably these are activities that you can see on eCampus as well. If I recall well, the training material, I don't think that there were exercises there, but apart from the project, I mean, and the live sessions as well. But you can explore yourself on your practice canvas, on your space that you have on your own course. But I have listed here some of the activities that you can do, and how we actually do it on Mosolvet. But I would actually like to be a bit more practical and give you some advice on it. Now, during class time, it's a bit harder to use the platform because the teacher has the student in front of him, so they don't actually see the benefit of using it since they are already face to face. But there are actually some very good activities that you can involve into your learning materials in order for you to use it in class as well. For example, the breaking the ice or activating the existing knowledge. How you can do that by using the platform to actually engage your students. So you don't tell them just to read the material there, but also to participate on a forum or also to do a quiz there. I might also share you some activities related to the tools that Moodle offers you and what we actually use on Mosolvet. For example, we use the book activity to present information in a clear and a logical manner. The activity book on Moodle can be easily viewed on mobile devices. You have the ability to add and to edit content. It's just that the book enables you greater organization and flexibility than just a long list of uploaded documents. You can use peer learning to share knowledge, ideas, experiences. One key activity to encourage this is the forum activity. Students can subscribe to individual forum discussions. Also, they can be notified of new forum activity with the event monitor feature. In the workshop activity as well, students assess the submissions of others. They can also self-assess too. And this has, at least on Masovet case, this really involves students in the assessment process and encourages higher order thinking, let's say. Another activity that I would recommend is the choice activity, like give students a say in what they learn. The choice activity provides students with a voting option that may be used for selecting, for example, their next module of study. Another thing, I'll just recommend you to motivate students by building learning together. So working side by side with the student, because it really can increase their investment in an activity. Building collaborative activities like database, glossary activities. These are activities that create course content for you while helping students to work together. You should also spark interest with rewards. We use this often in Masovet. We use badges there, and also we have a plugin that is called Level Up, and it rewards them with a badge, with a star badge, every time he gains enough points. So these are all really nice activities that you can use based, of course, on your field of study, of course, the subject that you teach. But I think these are really good to activities to use. The home activities through the platform are the ones that I already mentioned as well. So forum, vocabulary. You can use the flipped classroom modality as well. For remote learning, when you happen to have your students online only, like teaching in distance, Moodle actually allows you to use big blue button function, which is great. We use it very frequently with the students in Albania, because especially on the pandemic time, not all teachers used it, of course, but some of them who really saw the benefits of using it and couldn't manage to buy a subscription on Zoom, for example. They had the platform in their disposition, so they used the big blue button to create online meetings, because that's what big blue button does. Big blue button is really great because it also enables you to use a whiteboard while you are presenting it to the students. Of course, to do all these activities together, to make them function, to make the learning material effective, there is some expertise that's needed, that's really needed. And based on our experience, we say that we really needed pedagogical expertise of the Skills for Jobs team and the external providers as well, to firstly train the teachers, to coach the teachers on how to design and how to facilitate the online learning. We used educational media expertise. We actually got a training from LearnEts, which is a Swiss organization. They trained us and coached us and offered support for the teachers in the process of producing interactive online learning content. Of course, we would need ICT expertise to actually customize the Moodle into Masovet. We needed communication expertise. because after we did this piloting with some of the teachers, some of the schools, we also started to build communities of practice for the exchange of experiences, for the exchange of challenges, and to co-develop efficient solutions. We also needed MRM expertise. MRM is monitoring results department in Skills for Jobs. It basically serves to analyze, to assess the challenges, the needs, the expectation of different stakeholders, and use the feedback to improve and to tailor these interventions. And of course, the project management expertise, because it's a complex network of stakeholders, and on different levels they need good management. I'm proud to say that we actually have some great achievements with most of it. Now teachers and students learned to leverage the platform for active self-directed learning and teaching. So not only as a repository of learning materials, but actually use it into their classrooms. There also was a change of mentality. Blended learning is now seen as helpful by many teachers, and teachers from across different schools worked in groups to design, to develop digital learning content. Teachers participated widely in online knowledge sharing events. They shared challenges, experiences. Students learned to use ICT not only for fun, but also for learning. And teachers also had increased their online teaching skills in a very, very short time. Their online engagement actually increased because we also used Facebook groups a lot to build a community of practice inside it. And also the boost of ICT has led to an integration of the Mossavet platform into the teaching activities of the schools. The platform has also been endorsed by government representatives, and students used the Mossavet platform, other ICT tools. They liked the online offer, they showed increased motivation, they also improved their digital skills. But of course, we had also some challenges and some lessons learned, let's say. I've mentioned it, Erica also mentioned it, the lack of the digital skills of teachers and students. We had resistance of teachers to get involved on training, on using technology in education. We didn't have a monitoring and reporting a solution because everything was online and we couldn't really manage that. Teachers couldn't manage that without a virtual learning environment. The lack of infrastructure for students, for teachers, is also a very truly key point, because if they don't have a way to access the learning content and to participate in communication and interaction, that it cannot work. So we learned, first of all, that user feedback is very important, and we do that frequently. So we take feedback regarding the teaching materials. We take feedback on the way how teachers use it. What can we improve on the features that we have on the platform? We do this by continuously monitoring it. So we continuously monitor the platform and the effects of all these activities and how they help us to capitalize all the opportunities and to bring them to life. And we also learned that in order to achieve blended learning, we really need the digitalization of the whole teaching process. And now, for us to do that, we actually now are in a new area, I call it, in a new area, because we have now are really in the next level. Let me show you the other slide. I'm talking about Moodle Workplace. So what we did and what we are doing this year, is incorporating Moodle Workplace into VET schools in Albania. So it's an upgrade of Masovet. If Masovet right now was an LMS where all different schools teach their students from one single platform and use the same courses together, this actually often created confusion because there were some teachers that wanted their own individual courses, but they wanted the material. We couldn't open the same courses for everyone, and now we found a solution. Moodle Workplace is possible via a Moodle certified partner. We are collaborating with a Moodle partner now, and they have already upgraded the platform, and now each school has its own platform. Moodle Workplace is developed based on the job-based employment system in Europe and the United States. It's based on the experience in the field of education. It supports hybrid training. It combines face-to-face training, practical training, online training. The system can be built, and we have actually built it to reflect the structure of VET schools in Albania. So it can be flexibly adapted to the needs of each school and direction. How is it serving us? Well, as I told you, now each school has its own platform. This is called multi-tenancy in Moodle Workplace. So giving each of Skills for Jobs partner schools their own dedicated learning partition, let's say, where they can manage their own users, their own courses, they can automate workflows for their students, they can customize their platform with their brand, with their style, and they have a different admin for each school. We call that person digitalization focal point. They have firstly built an organization inside their platform with position hierarchies, and they have enabled creating the directions, the learning enrollments, the reporting, the tracking of the users. And they also use the report builder, which is a very powerful custom reporting tool, because they are built using the report builder interface, and it has customization options for administrators. So they do, if before Moodle offered us some reports, now we can create our own reports, users reports, courses reports, how much time is dedicated to the course, in a hierarchy mode, like from director, the school board, the teachers, and then the students. Another good thing of Moodle Workplace is that it's a cloud-based platform, so there is no need for the project to design, to build, to maintain servers and networks. It's all on the cloud now. Dynamic rules is, I love this option because allows me to define and execute automated rules using conditions. So if this, then that. This enables me to automate lots of things that I did it manually. Now I can automate them all because I use if this, then the platform should do that. So it's a really the next level. I love that option. And of course, another thing that Moodle Workplace offers us is power-ups with plugins and integrations, because it's ready to be integrated with other systems, content repositories, HR platforms, or other products, because it has an automated API. So it's actually really great. And what we are doing to address other challenges that we face is the custom branded Moodle application. Now we also, in January, we will go live with the Masovet application. It's actually Moodle, but it's branded as Masovet. It's great because to access Masovet from mobile, users, so students either go to the website or they used to download a web-based application, but we made some focus groups. And students said that they had difficulties using it using the platform through the mobile phone. And sometimes they have to enable the desktop view because the app is not mobile optimized. But from the 2022 data report of Musovet, more than 50% of users accessed Musovet from their mobile phone. So it wasn't good for us that they had this kind of experience. And this is why we collaborated with the Moodle partner as well to enable us a branded app of Moodle, because it offers a seamless experience. We have streamlined onboarding there, so we can give our students direct, easy access to the content they need. Once they download the Musovet app, they simply log in, they continue to learn from their mobile device. We have notifications there. They can choose the type of notifications, how they want to receive them, from the email, from the app, from the in-platform. This enables a much more personalized experience for each student. We can also access learner engagement analytics, so we can get insights into our students' mobile learning experience, where and when they access our app, how they interact with the notifications, which courses and resources they spend more time on. The app also has automatic updates, bug fixes, new features every 2 months. And the most important thing is the fact that the application actually enables you to use it offline. So students can now, by simply downloading the app, they can access all the learning content offline. Not just the content, but also quizzes, other materials, everything. They can access it offline, which is really great. But we are really enabling this whole infrastructure. But in order to make everything work, this is not enough. Because what we would need is actually the collaboration between the leadership, teachers, and the digitalization focal point. Erica mentioned it before as well. Talking and actually convincing the leadership of schools to actually get the digitalization into the processes that they follow in their school was a bit hard. But as soon as they get this, they can move all the things. Even if there are some teachers that are uncertain on using it, or even they don't want to use it, the school directors, the school principals will actually find a way to do it by the help of the digitalization focal point as well. Digitalization focal point wasn't before, but now, since every school has its own platform, what we've done is we picked a teacher that best used the platform from each school, and we made that teacher the administrator of its own platform, of the school platform. And they are all together, they collaborate together, because now we don't use Musovet just for learning and for teaching. We also use Musovet to actually manage the whole process that schools in Albania have. They have lots of departments. They have a business relationships department. They have a professional subjects departments. They have general subjects departments. They have different departments. And in order for the school director to actually monitor all the process in the school, we are using Musovet now. And we are on pilot testing for now, and we will see how it will go through, hopefully successfully. Now I talked about how we made everything work, but I want to talk a bit how can you make the digital content work. I've told you that I've been a coach for this training, so I would like to give you some tips and tricks, let's say, in order for you to follow while creating digital learning material. I have some advices here. I'm going to be a bit long here because I really love this. So I really hope that it's valuable for you too. The first tip that I would give is to use a consistent structure in each module. So if you have your subject and you have to divide it into different modules, you should use a consistent structure. You should make it easy for students to scan the main course page and find the information quickly. An option that you can do for this is you can use the show one section per page. It's a setting on the course management, so you can prevent excess scrolling. People are actually used to scrolling because they're on social media, they are all the time scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, but because that happens because they are interested in it, and it's a bit more difficult with the learning materials because they will get tired by excessively scrolling down, and especially if there's a lot, they will be like they will think that it's never going to finish. So I recommend you use that. I recommend you to use short descriptive names. You should also include dates in module titles. You should use labels as section headings to separate groups of items. You should make sure that the labels are consistent in each module. You can start each resource or activity name with an action verb that lets students know how they are expected to interact with it. You should organize content into manageable pieces. You should avoid walls of text. You should clutter on the homepage. You should organize information into sub-pages. You can simply do that by putting the information in the Moodle page. So you can reduce clutter, you can reduce scrolling on the main course page by simply putting the information inside the Moodle page. I talked about the book activity as well. You can organize multiple pages of content using that tool. You should make information easy to find. This is very important. What you should do is add blocks to the right side of your course, so you can highlight important information, important links. You can use the activities block. There's a block there called activities. It helps students provide easy access to assignments, other course activities as well. You can add the student services block to provide easy access to help for students. Another thing that it's really important is making your content more accessible. That's actually really important because accessibility is one of the key points of digital learning materials. You will see on the training as well. I'd recommend you provide alt text or descriptions for all the images. Why? Because sometimes internet is poor and images don't load, but images make a very crucial point on the digital learning materials because mostly we talk with images there. So if someone has a pure internet connection and the image doesn't load, at least if we provide an ALT text in there, they can at least see the description, so they can know what is it about. There's a resource online that has a lot of these types of advices that helps you make your course content more accessible for all your learners. Improve your student engagement. That's very important. You can increase engagement in your Moodle course by creating quality interactions between students and the course interface, between the instructors and other students and the course content. Be present in the course using announcements, using forums, solicit, give timely feedback, provide opportunities for students to learn from and with each other. You can use groups to make discussions more engaging. You can incorporate active learning and interactive content. absolutely sure that this training will be very, very valuable for you all. The learning material there is very good, and it's actually very nicely organized. So I really hope that it's a great experience for you all. I hope I didn't make you tired by listening this whole time. I wanna thank you for listening to me. And yeah, if you have any questions regarding the platform that we use, but also regarding the learning materials that you are going to produce, just let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Albina. It was actually very interesting. And I think your presentation touched upon all the topics of this training. I hope that all the participants find themselves and also the training pathway on this very concrete example and very hands-on presentation. Now, I would like to invite the participant to ask their question. Please raise your hand or open your mic, and the floor is yours.
Hello, hi, I'm Fairul from Advanced Technology Training Center in Malaysia. Hello. So I have a few questions. Since thank you for sharing the many inputs on how we're going to build the e-learning. My question is, how do you integrate practical training online? That's the first question. The second question is, Moodle platform. Just now you mentioned is a free platform. How about the plugin? Because I'm familiar with Joomla. Maybe it's something familiar to it. So how about the plugin cost? And what is the total cost to build the whole system? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your questions. Okay, so I'm starting with the first question, how to integrate a training online, right? That was the first question. Now there are lots of steps that we put into this, because the first thing you need to conduct a training online is actually a virtual learning system. That is a must. Now, why is that? Because a virtual learning system enables you not only to deliver the content, the learning material, but also to track your students, because you need to do that during your training. After that, now I know that you used Joomla, you said, but there are all other tools that you can incorporate as well, and Moodle actually gives you the opportunity to do this. Moodle, the open source, is a bit complicated to use, because you would have to install it and you'd have to have a programmer or you to have some coding skills in order for you to install it and to use it. But what you can do is use Moodle Cloud. Moodle Cloud is free up till 250 students, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 250 users. It's free, and you can use all the Moodle plugins and all the resources that Moodle offers you with your students, but in a limited number. What other you'd need is, of course, a video conference tool. A video conference tool like Zoom, for example. But what Moodle gives to you is a big blue button, so you can replace Zoom. But Zoom is also with payment, and the free version allows you only 45 minutes meeting, which is not good. But you can always use Google Meet. Google Meet is free for all, and you have unlimited access to it. It's enough for you to have a Gmail account there in order for you to use it. Another thing that you need are assessment tools. Assessment tools can be different, and you can find them everywhere. In Moodle, there are some assessment tools incorporated. Moodle Cloud offers you all their assessment tools. By assessment tools, I mean different quizzes, different exercises, interactive elements that you can include with your students, forums as well, peer assessments. But there are also other tools that you can use on their free version, like Mentimeter, for example, to conduct some small surveys, polls. You can use Padlet. I don't know if you are familiar with that. Padlet is also good. It's like a collaboration board. You can use Kahoot, which is a game-based assessment. Let's say you can use build quizzes there and share them with your students. They can use a code to enter the game and play while they're learning. So yes, that's basically it. But if you have a virtual learning environment, you can have them all in one place. That is why it's so crucial to deliver a good training, because it has all these elements that I mentioned into one, and you don't have to be confused and even incorporate lots of tools, because having so many tools around that you can use, sometimes it can be confusing, because you want to use them all because you like them all, but sometimes there's no need for fireworks, because we are not in a Disney movie. So it's good to just keep it simple and just deliver the content right. And about your other question, now the costs of an open source, it is open source and it's free, but it's not actually that free. There are lots of costs that you must keep in mind when you choose to customize an open source. That is because see, a fair number of people who seek out an open source LMS have a major misconception that it is free, but it's actually not. The only free thing that is their license, and the fact it's a good thing that is supported by a very large community. Yes, it is open source and it is free. It's licensed. Its license is free, but you must dig further, and you will find out that that free does not mean that you have no costs. First of all, you have costs of implementing it, of installing it. You'll have cost of customizing it. You'll have server costs, hosting costs. You need a website for it. So you'd need to pay hosting for the web and hosting for the content as well. And it's not that easy. So there are different costs that you should keep in mind when you are trying to actually customize one. And this is why the open sources are usually used by companies that have enough resources to do that, not by a single person. You as a teacher can use the Moodle Cloud free version that enables you to have like 250 students. You have all the features there, and it's actually better than every platform that is open source and customized, because Moodle built it and Moodle customized it. While other companies use external IT partners for them to customize the Moodle platform, and it's not that easy. While plugins they are free, but after you have you can install the plugins after you have the platform. So every plugin, it's free. There are also plugins that are with payment, but I think the free ones are enough. There are many of them, and yeah, they serve for different. They have different functions. They serve to different assessments. You can use them to fulfill different learning objectives of a learning material. So yeah, they are free, but in order for you to use them, actually must have the platform.
Thank you very much for your answer and for the question as well. So this question, of course, is actually very important, and I think that's why it's also important to have the endorsement from the institution, because it's like an investment. Yeah, but I also noted that it's quite amazing how you describe the pathway from the reluctances of trainers to this updated version, upscaled and updated versions of Moodle. So once we are convinced that we need it and it works, I think the investment is, how to say that, we have the return on the investment, I would say. We have about 12 minutes. Would anyone else would like to share or ask questions? Or please open your mic or raise your hand.
Sorry, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
So Albina just now mentioned something about Moodle Cloud. Moodle Cloud, right?
Moodle Cloud. Yes, Moodle Cloud.
Is it some similar to Google Classroom?
Sorry. If I may, maybe we can take the question from Akil as well, and then you will come back.
Answer them both.
Answer them both. Yes.
Okay.
Please, Akil, go ahead.
Good morning, all, or good evening, wherever you are. Akil Thompson from Barbados. My question is, how challenging was it to get the trainers and the instructors to populate the Moodle platform with their content and to convert it to a more online friendly kind of a modality? Were people still trying to teach in the traditional way using the platform, or persons were trained to actually use it in a different way? How difficult was it to actually get people to put content on the platform? What was that process like?
Okay, thank you, Akil. So I'm starting with the first question. So Moodle Cloud and Google Classroom, they are not the same. They are similar because even Google Classroom now is getting more rich in features, but still Google Classroom, it's only a repository of your learning content. So you can create your classrooms there. You can upload your digital learning material there, but the only way that you can upload this learning material is by a simple file like a Word or a PDF file. While Moodle Cloud enables you lots of tools that you can use to make these learning materials more engaging, more interactive. So you can put quizzes there. You can, of course, use Google Form to do a quiz on Google Classroom. But in what you do on Moodle is that you can involve this quiz in the middle of a video. For example, you are watching an interactive video on Moodle Cloud. And then while you're watching the video just stops and a question pops up. And you should answer the question in order to continue watching the video. This actually attracts the attention of the learner and also makes him think and be more attentive while watching the rest of the video. And what another thing that Moodle Cloud gives you and not Google Classroom is the tracking thing. So you can actually follow the progress of each student. Not only by seeing the time dedicated to each of the activities listed there, but also to actually track if your learning objectives are fulfilled. Why? Because you can actually integrate your learning plan into Moodle and create competencies for each learning objective. And each learning objective, you can actually create a link with one activity in the Moodle Cloud. And this is how you can see if the student had actually fulfilled that activity, then your learning objective is also fulfilled. We have another question in the chat, but I want to answer it now because it is related with the Moodle Cloud. You don't have to install Moodle Cloud. You don't have to download it. It is online. You can just open an account on it. So you go to, so there is Moodle Academy, where you can find materials on how to use Moodle. There is Moodle.net, where you can actually be part of the community of Moodle, but not the community who created Moodle, the teachers that use Moodle. So you can learn from them and their practices. And there's also simply Moodle, Moodle.com, where you can just log in there and create your own courses. So you create your own course, you upload your materials, you enroll your users. But in order, I know how your training goes, and you simply learn how to develop content material, but not how to actually use Moodle, like on enrolling students, how to manage them and their progress on the course. So since Moodle actually has lots of documentation of it, you can actually go there and also attend free courses that Moodle offers for teaching, for administrators, and also for students.
All right, thank you. That was informative.
Now,
Albina, can I take the question of Akil?
Yes,
because
sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I think it's more, it's a bit related with our approach,
Okay.
let's say, into buying in from teachers and the community in the school. Actually, what we have been doing is shifting a bit the focus from the platform, let's say, as the aim, to more the platform as the means to more interactive and efficient and use teaching process. So we don't talk about TVET, or we don't talk about digital learning platform, but we talk about blended learning. We talk about digital learning material. We talk about any online assessment, be it formative or summative assessment. So always using Moodle or using the platform as a means to reach to the objectives of the institution, of the teachers, of the students, and always bringing to them the benefits and the value that using the platform adds to their processes. So you want to make the teaching process more interactive, or you want to have more better performing or engaged students, you want to have less job and less paperwork with the assessments, then this is a tool that helps you to create such an environment. So this has been a bit the approach, and I think we have shifted in time, because initially it was like, yeah, the platform, so use it, go there and use it, and training about the use of the platform. But actually it was not very successful. When we started to shift a bit the focus and see the platform as a means to an end and not as the main, let's say, aim, we saw a shift. And you cannot use the platform without materials in it. So we have seen really a shift in the use, and also numbers have peaked once you had more learning material and more people using it. As many people, if you have a community of users, then it becomes also something that people can relate, and it does not feel like a foreign language to them, but it feels like everyday job. So this is a bit what I wanted to say from the approach or strategy, intervention strategy, let's say, point of view. But then, of course, it's the everyday job of Albina and our staff, which are hands-on with schools and teachers, and helping them with every glitches and trying to coach as they go. So that, of course, it's like part of the whole thing.
All right, thank you for that. Because, you know, my concern would have been, you know, there's some teachers, you know, they're accustomed to their classroom environment, and asking them to shift, you'll have that inertia, and you know, resistance to the changes, or some persons aren't that technologically savvy. They're a little resistant or hesitant.
Yeah, you know what we heard at the moment we started with digital learning materials? Is like, where do we print this? So how can we have a PDF or Word version of this material so we can have it in hand and really continue the usual? And we're like, yeah, it's not printable. Sorry, it's not a PDF, but it's a process. So you have to go there, you have to fill in the, so it's like a step-by-step thing that you cannot use otherwise, only in the platform. So that was also something that pushed the teacher. So of course, resistant, and there are a lot of teachers which are still resistant. And I, by no means I can tell that this is now something that has been transferred completely and is sustainable and it's working by itself. But I can say that we went from a very few teachers to thousands of students and teachers using it, and to very few teachers knowing how to develop digital materials, to now a pool of hundreds of teachers who actually can do that. So it's a very long process, and I think it will be also longer, but it helps. And because of that, I mentioned at the beginning that we have these pillars. So you have the management, very important. So if you kind of include this element in the annual teaching plans of teachers and in the strategic teaching plan of the institution, that it kind of becomes internalized also as their everyday processes. But it's, of course, it's a long process, and it's not easy at all.
Right. I was about to ask about the time frame. My last question, that time frame from your initial implementation, where you had a few people who would have been interested and trying to learn it and use it, to you had the wider mainstream uptake with the hundreds or thousands of learners and training providers. How long did that process take for TVET? Was that like a 2-year process?
Well, I cannot say, because we had the pandemic, and I think that really changed a lot our approach, but changed a lot also the response that we got from providers. So we shifted completely the strategy and the approach with the pandemic. We wanted only to pilot it with few teachers, few schools, few directions, and really see it gradually creating this let's say these change makers or transfer agents slowly to enter the system. But then once the pandemic hit, we had to scale up immediately without really a plan in place. So we did a very rapid assessment and rapid analysis. We tried to monitor the process during the pandemic quite closely. So we did a rapid assessment at the beginning of the school lockdown, and then after 3 weeks, and then after 3 weeks, and try to improve the platform, but also like digital learning materials, training, and everything in a very short period of time. So I don't know what would have been if the things were normal and we have continued with our, let's say, initial plan, but this shifted a bit our let's say our financial and the human capital resources in the project. We put we shifted a lot of resources in this area, cutting out from other areas. So yeah, it's not the traditional, let's say, approach of an intervention that starts with a strategy and follows the strategy, but it was directed a bit the way we dealt with it from the pandemic. So now we don't work anymore with pilots. Now we don't work anymore with selected teachers, but we go full-fledged to all the providers that we support, and further even, because the materials now are open to all the system, and even TVET is open to all the system, but we don't really go there to assist, to help them, but we are in a waiting position. So when they ask us for help, we go on and help institution. And it is the case of many teachers that we don't let's say, support directly, which are using Musovet and are using the materials with our very light support.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful.
Thank you very much, Erka, for this explanation. Unfortunately, we are running out of the time. I see that Dawn from Barbados asked question in the chat. Maybe, yes, if you can provide...
I can answer it. So it's about online assessments that I mentioned earlier. Now, in every course or subject, teachers assess students, but in a variety of ways. It can be diagnostic, it can be formative, it can be summative methods. And the style and the purpose of the assessment, it can vary depending on the subject, depending on the level of each student, depending on the learning objectives, depending on the student itself, on the situation. And using a blended learning environment, what it does is that it increases the scope of the assessment, because we can build in activities that are automatically assessed and more formally engage in self and peer reviews as well. So if we could like maybe divide a learning content into 3 stages of learning, like first of all, students interact with the new knowledge, right? And then they practice and deepen their knowledge. And then they can generate and test different hypotheses. What a blended learning environment offers you is a way to assess all these 3 stages, let's say. So you can assess if they have actually interacted with their new knowledge, if they have actually deepened their knowledge, if you enable them to practice during the assessment. And you also can understand if the student has completely understood it and now is able to generate and to test his own hypothesis about the course or about the lesson. Some typical assessments, since I divided them into stages, to test the new knowledge, for example, you can simply use automated quizzes or drag and drop activities or fill in the gap activities. To practice the skills, you can use discussion forums, you can use wikis, you can use response to stimulus. They can be self-assessed or peer-assessed with support and guidance always, because these types of assessments always need the teacher to control them. And the next step, I would say, assessment, it would be, for example, probably to undertake a research, a modeling, like individual or group presentations, writing essays, undertaking an experiment as well. And these are generally assessed by the teacher and unlikely to be self-assessed or peer assessed, let's say. But they all can be done and be facilitated through a blended learning environment.
Okay. Yes, but dear participants, do not hesitate to ask your question in the forum, and we will try to do our best to respond or to redirect this question to the right persons and then to address your questions. So thank you very much, Albina. Thank you very much, Erka. It was a pleasure to have you on board today. I see that participants were very interested as well. So this next few days, I think we will address you some questions from them. And yeah, so we will keep in touch. And it was a pleasure. And once again, thank you for your availability. Thank you for all participants, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.
Thank you.
All the best to you all.
Bye.